So, guys, I do want to mention that Jon Moxley is now the NJPW heavyweight champion, the IWGP heavyweight champion, and I do want to say that for AEW, that this is a huge opportunity for them to capitalize off Jungle Boy and all that controversy. And what I would love to see is like at least two different matches. You can do Jon Moxley versus Jungle Boy for the IWGP title at Wrestle Dream in Long Island, New York. And could you imagine like all the heat that would definitely bring? And also too, if you do something like if you have like Jungle Boy Jack Perry cheat and then therefore he becomes the IWGP champion, and then also the Young Bucks are involved in that, and then you have like a faction of the Young Bucks with the tag team titles, Okada with the Continental title, and Jack Perry with the IWGP title. That would definitely, be like, what AEW really needs to do is they need to get out there and they need to really build factions and make factions actually really mean something and accomplish goals. And what would happen if you say something like, okay, well, you've been passing around the ROH championship, so we do something like we do something where we have I'm trying to remember the guy, the concurrent ROH champion. I'm drawing a blank really quick. The concurrent ROH champion, Mark Briscoe versus Jack Perry. So that way Jack Perry wins, and then you have a situation where he's now holding both a Japanese title and then he's holding both a American title. And that could also lead to, maybe if Eddie Kingston, Jon Moxley, Eddie Kingston, Edge, and Mark Briscoe actually form a feud with the Elite, really. And that's the big thing I've said about AEW is that they do have a bunch of factions, but they have really no direction. Like you look at the Dark Order with no direction, and there's two things I've wanted to see. Really, I really wanted to see the Undisputed Kingdom and the EVPs all become this big super faction, and I think that would be the best move. But it seems like if they're not doing that, it's either the Undisputed Kingdom has to be the top faction or the EVPs have to be the top faction. I think right now, since they really want to go in the direction of making the EVPs a bigger deal, and it seems like, that's the right move, really. You got to kind of prepare for, future events and everything like that, really. And since, they like working with Japanese promotions and Tony Khan really loves Japanese wrestling, the best story they can tell is Jon Moxley and Jungle Boy actually going after the IWGP champion. And definitely, the motivations would be that, in addition to them being both hardcore wrestlers and ultra-violent wrestlers, and the human story around it could be like Jon Moxley's like, you're just an entitled young prick thinking you can do what you want, thinking that there's no consequences, you hurt the company. And Jungle Boy could be like, I'm just sick and tired of you old guys always telling me what to do. I know what I'm doing, and, you don't deserve your spot, and other things like that, So that type of, that generational clash between the old dogs wanting to, teach the younger generation respect and class and doing things the right way and working through the system. And sometimes you have to work your way up to, especially in wrestling, as they say, you're supposed to, obey what the older wrestler's telling you. And then nowadays you kind of see a lot of just, especially with the younger generation, just a lot of no respect for their elders, no respect for the history, no respect for veterans, just it's my way or the highway type of thing, really. Instead of understanding it has to be a middle ground, we have to, learn from veterans, but veterans can't haze us. Or if there are veterans that are trying to ruin our momentum, the way Moolah did, that's kind of when you can rebel against a veteran. But definitely the human dynamic would be, the veteran who knows best versus the young guy who thinks he knows best and is kind of a jerk about it. And I've also kind of said too, the one big issue with AEW is they don't really have the best heels. You know, Swerve is supposed to be a heel, and now he's like a babyface. So with Jungle Boy Jack Perry, you can create the ultimate heel, and since you want to push him, and since you have wrestlers on Japanese shows and other things like that, you can do like crossovers and really just, you know, you can do a lot of crossovers with NJPW, and that's actually what you should do when you want to really promote a Forbidden Door type of show, really, you know. So it's definitely something that Tony Khan can definitely really capitalize on. You know, Jon Moxley versus Jungle Boy Jack Perry, and I think that they would have, you know, a really great match. There could be a really great story. It would make the EVPs, you know, a really great heel faction. And as I've said, that they don't really do factions that well in AEW. There's no goal, there's no direction, there's really factions also stopping because of booking, or they're supposed to lose when they're supposed to lose, really. You know, you see how Takeshita has been doing a really great job, but obviously he's now Will Ospreay's jobber. So with this approach, you can definitely have a situation where the EVPs win and people may just disagree with it, but at least they're getting over, and then you have the ultimate team to take them down. What if you had like Edge, Mark Briscoe, and Eddie Kingston take on the EVPs? Or what if you had the Acclaim take on the EVPs? Or what if you had something like the Blackpool Combat Club? You know, Bryan Danielson wants to have one final great year in wrestling. You do something like make Jack Perry the IWGP champion, and then you kind of say, okay, well, if he thinks he's such a big deal, we'll make him the biggest deal of them all. We'll be Bryan Danielson versus Jack Perry for the IWGP championship at Wembley Stadium, you know. So there's a lot that you can kind of do with that. So there's a lot in Jon Moxley versus Jungle Boy Jack Perry over the IWGP title, and doing that match at Forbidden Door.